Hi, everybody. I'm Justin McElroy from Polygon. I'm joined by my brother Griffin, and our guest right now is Sigurlina Invigarsdottir. You're the senior producer of Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront.
1 out of 10. 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. How did Justin do on the pronunciation?
On my name, I'd give it, say, 5.5. There was a slight error in the last name.
I think he added a couple extra syllables, but I'm proud of you for your bravery.
Well, thanks. Welcome to our show. I really appreciate you joining us. We are here to talk about Star Wars Battlefront. So here, my first question is, why has it been 10 years since the last Star Wars Battlefront game? What's been going on in the interim?
Well, I mean, today I think today is the year of, or this year is the year of Star Wars. So I think it's logical that now we have a new Star Wars Battlefront. But I think that after the first two that were really, really successful and people really enjoyed, I think there have been attempts at getting the third one out that haven't been successful, and so people stopped trying after a while. And now it's time to bring Battlefront back. And what we're doing is we're not making Battlefront 3. We are actually rebooting the franchise and sort of finding its core again.
I want to talk about there is so much pre-existing art and canon and story in Star Wars across all these different types of media. It's really codified, maybe more codified than any other franchise around. Is that limiting for you as a game developer as you're making Star Wars Battlefront?
Well, Star Wars, as you say, I mean, it's probably one of the biggest franchises or biggest IPs, and you just have to say the word Star Wars, and it paints an incredibly rich picture for people, and they know this world, they know basically the laws of the universe, if you will, and I guess that's what if you ask whether that's limiting, I don't feel like it's limiting, but of course we need to adhere to the rules of the universe as we create, and as developers, we need to you can't go too far. I mean, it has to make sense within the universe.
In the trailer that we saw, obviously you see Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader squaring off. That was awesome. And I know that there are other playable heroes. Can you give us any idea of how that mechanic will work? Like, how do you keep it from just being everybody trying to become those heroes? Because I can guarantee you that is what I will probably
if given the choice.
If given the option,
and
I'm always going to be the guy with the lightsaber.
Okay, so the way that the heroes work in multiplayer, like this mode that we were looking at, the trailer is captured from a mode called Walker Assault, and Walker Assault is one of our epic all-out war multiplayer modes where you have infantry, you have the walkers, you have the starfighters, and what will happen is that I don't know if you noticed those tokens, the holographic tokens on the ground, and those are the ones that you pick up, these power-ups, and they give you either a really powerful tactical weapon, or some of them are vehicle pickups, so that's how you actually get to fly a starfighter or control a walker, and that's also how you become a hero. So it's not based on something that you do in the game, it's based on finding that particular power-up.
Is it difficult to balance that system, because obviously there's a lot of it's a big battlefield. There's a lot of stuff going on. Throwing starships and Jedi and everything in there. Is it hard to make that system balanced?
I mean, I think it's a lot of work to make that system balanced, because there are so many variables that you can tweak. I mean, it's the health of the different, it's the health of the AT-AT, it's the number of the incoming Y-wings that come in and make the walkers vulnerable, it's the location of the spawn points, it's the health of the heroes, all of it. I mean, so of course it's, there are so many variables that you have to you use to balance it out. So yes, there's a lot of work and a lot of iteration that goes into it. But I think that's, to be expected with a mode of this magnitude, and specifically since it's an asymmetrical mode, if you will, where the walkers are basically the moving objectives for the game.
There is no campaign to speak of in Star Wars Battlefront. It is multiplayer focused.
It is multiplayer focused. However, we do have the Star Wars Battlefront missions, and I don't know if you've seen the missions trailer on Tatooine. where we revealed the missions gameplay, which was revealed at the Sony press conference. So people can check that out. But the missions are basically our offline component, if you will. And in the Star Wars Battlefront missions, you're able to either play by yourself versus AI, or you're able to play co-op with a friend, either through online co-op or split-screen co-op.
But obviously, I mean, online is the focus, is the primary focus of the game.
Yeah.
So as a result, network stability has been a really hot topic over the past few years as more games have gone this direction. How important is it that Battlefront work day one right out of the gate?
Incredibly important. Absolutely. That's a very, very large focus for us. I mean, we have a great team, and I mean, if you think about the last big launch of an online multiplayer from EA, it was Battlefield Hardline, and that launch was incredibly stable and went without a hitch.
Are you able to take a lot of the stuff that you learned from the launch of that over, say, Battlefield 4, which didn't have quite as smooth of a rollout, to ensure that when Battlefront hits store shelves, it's going to be rock solid?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously, between the launch of Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline, a lot of lessons were learned, and they were, part of what made sure that the Battlefield Hardline launch was so stable. I mean, there's a lot of learnings that have been had, and we are able to bring that learning over to our game as well.
Star Wars has changed hands since the last Battlefront game. The last one was released right around the time of the third of the first trilogy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
The third new one that is actually old.
Yep.
But it's been about 10 years. Obviously, Star Wars has
Yes.
changed hands. What's the experience been like working with Disney? Are they more protective because it's such a huge investment for them right now?
Yeah, we work directly, through Lucasfilm. So those are the people that we interface with on a day-to-day basis. And that experience, I mean, these guys have been, doing licensing for so many years, so they're so used to it. And for us at DICE, this is the first time in a really, really long time where we're working on a licensed IP. So there's a lot of learning going on between both teams, but we have great partners in Lucasfilm. They are, they share the same attitude, I think, towards creativity as we do. I mean, they are incredibly invested in Star Wars, in the franchise, invested in us bringing it to quality, and on the DICE side, I mean, we're incredible fans of Star Wars. All of us have been since we were kids. For us, it's a dream come true to work in the franchise, as you can imagine. And so, we like that they share that same mindset that we do, the wanting to get things to quality, wanting to give fans a great experience, wanting really to do the IP justice.
How does that relationship work? Do they get final sign off on it or approval on any of this stuff, or is it more about them just providing input?
No, I mean that's obviously something that's maybe a bit too specific for me to go into how that works. But I mean, they are the people that are responsible for making sure that as the franchise is taken forward, that it's internally consistent and to quality. So obviously they have a lot of input into what we do. They've also been, sorry to interrupt. They've also been, incredible partners in providing feedback and guidance, but giving us still, the ability to have freedom, to create, which is, manifested, for instance, in the planet of Sullust, which we are bringing forth, which is a planet that has been known within the Star Wars universe, but the DICE visualization of this planet is going to be the official visualization and the official look and feel of that planet going forward.
Okay. We've talked a little bit about feeling limited by the franchise, feeling like you have to stick to this certain direction. On the flip side of that, do you feel like a pressure from the Star Wars diehards of the things that you have to include in the game? Like if you released a Star Wars Battlefront game and there weren't Jedi in them, or there weren't AT-ATs or AT-ATs. We've been having some discussion, some debate about how to pronounce that in the office this week. But if you didn't have those things,
it's AT-AT is official.
Okay. See, Justin has differing opinions about that, but that could be a
I'm
whole
just saying,
video
on the battlefield, you have moments to spare.
Okay, here we go.
You would probably say at. Like
It's
if
two
you're
less syllables.
on the ground, you're saving time. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, girl.
Anyway, do you feel that pressure of you've got the game, relatively far along at this point. Do you feel that pressure? Do you, wake up at night going like, oh my God, we didn't include, TIE fighters. We didn't, something like that, where you feel this pressure to include as much as you can from the Star Wars franchise.
I mean, as a Star Wars fan myself, I mean, I understand how much people, love the franchise and how much they want their favorite thing to be a part of a game that many people have been waiting for such a long time. And so, but I mean, Star Wars is so incredibly vast. There are so many things, that people love and want, and they want. We can't do everything. We can't do a lot, but we can't do everything. But I understand that frustration, but I hope that people understand that we're incredibly invested. We're doing the absolute best work that all of us have been doing, trying to make this game absolutely the best game possible. And so I hope they respect that, even if they feel disappointed that this thing or the other thing that's not in the game is not here right now.
Speaking of fan requests, the one thing that I've been hearing from everybody about their hopes for a hero in the game, is there any chance that we are going to be able to play as Jar Jar Binks?
Jar Jar Binks is a special favorite of mine.
Is it possible to replace I know there's probably a ton of artists and animators that have done a ton of work on the game. Just replace everyone with Jar Jar Binks,
Can
right?
we replace someone with Jar Jar Binks? Okay, one more hero request.
So is that the feature request from you guys? Is that a Jar Jar Binks mode for
Binks
the game?
only.
Binks only.
DLC.
Only.
I have
Okay.
another hero request. Captain James T. Kirk. Can you do that for me?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's when our relationship with Lucasfilm becomes problematic.
Singer Lena, thank you so much for joining us. You've been a lot of fun to talk to. We're really looking forward to playing the game. And thanks for sharing some of your time with us.
Thanks very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you at home also for watching Griffin and I. We got a lot more stuff at Polygon.com. So go watch all that. We'll make some more videos, and we'll talk to you again real soon.